हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गाये नमः। ओम श्री राम रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतो वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। शङ्करं परमानन्दं ब्रह्मनिष्ठं यतीश्वरं भाष्यभ्रान्तिहरं वन्दे शुद्धज्ञानैकबोधकम्। ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 ॐ नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वती पतये। हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। We'll begin with the Shanti mantra. Om आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक् प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदम् माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु। तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्माः ते मयि सन्तु। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। हरि ओम। So we have seen that Naradji approaches his teacher Sanat Kumar and requests him to teach him Atma Vidya. Then the teacher, beginning from Nama, takes Naradji on this inner journey. So, whatever we know about this world, which is there in front of us, whatever we know, whatever we perceive, whatever is revealed in the Shastras, all this can be just summed up as Nam. And that Nam is revealed by speech. So speech is subtler than Nam. And Nam in Vak is sustained in the mind. So mind is subtler than Vak. The thinking of the mind is initiated by our Sankalpa. So Sankalpa is subtler than mind. When we have Chitta, when we have proper awareness of the surrounding and we understand it, then we can have that initiates Sankalpa. So that Chitta is subtler than Sankalpa, but subtler than Chitta is Dhyana, and subtler than Dhyana is Vijnana, and subtler than Vijnana is Balam, the strength. Because even when we have the understanding, but a strong person can disturb us, and also without the strength of our body and the mind cannot function. So if there is no strength, we won't be able to move our body. But when we have the strength of the body as well as the mind, then we get up, we approach the teacher, we do seva of the teacher, we recognize the greatness of the teacher, we listen to the teacher, we contemplate on what we have listened, we gain the knowledge, then we put it into practice, then we gain the experiential understanding. So Bala is revealed as greater than Vijnana, and this Bala is obtained through food which we take. So food is the cause of this Bala. So since Bala is superior to Vijnana, the teacher tells Naradji that you meditate on Bala as Brahma. So sayo balam Brahma iti upaste yavat balasya gatam tatra asya yatha kamacharo bhavati yo balam Brahma iti upaste asti bhagavo balad bhuyah iti balad vapa bhuyaho bhuyah asti iti tanme bhagwan bravitu iti. Then the teacher tells Naradji the result, the phala of meditating on Bala as Brahma. So he says that when we meditate on Bala, we gain free movement within the domain of Bala. Then Naradji asked the teacher, is there anything subtler? Is there anything greater than Bala? Then now in this ninth skanda, ninth khanda, that is ninth section, the teacher reveals. Let us chant the first mantra. अन्नं वावबलात् भूयः तस्माद् यद्यपि दशरात्रिः नाश्नीयात् यद् उ ह जीवेद अथवा अद्रष्टा अश्रोता अमन्ता अबोद्धा अकर्ता अविज्ञाता भवति अथ अन्नस्यायै द्रष्टा भवति श्रोता भवति मन्ता भवति बोद्धा भवति कर्ता भवति विज्ञाता भवति अन्नम उपास्वेति. So the teacher says annam vava balad bhuyah. Anna is superior to bala. The food which we eat gives strength not only to the body, but it gives strength to the mind also, to the antakarana also. We have seen in the previous chapter that how the world is expression of the five tanmatras, which undergoes various modifications. First, through Panchikaranam, the five elements are born. Then through Trivritkaranam 1, the Sharir of the Devtas are born. Then with Trivritkaranam 2, the Vanaspatis are born. And with the Trivritkaranam 3, our own bodies are born. They get nourishment. We get nourishment from the Karanam. This we had seen in the previous chapter, which I am sure you must be remembering. So here the teacher is telling that this anna, which nourishes our body and mind, is superior to bala because it is the cause. Shankaracharya ji in his commentary now, he explains this mantra. Annam vava balad bhuyah. He says anna is superior to bala. Bala hetutvad, because it is the cause of bala. Katham annasya bala hetutvam. How anna is the cause of bala? Iti uchyate. Now we will explain that. Ki yasmad bala karanam annam. Since the cause of bala is anna, tasmad yadyapi kaschid dasharatrihi na ashniyat, so anna upayoga nimittasya balasya hanya mriyate. If a person doesn't eat for 10 days and 10 nights, if a person doesn't have any food for 10 days, yasmat balakaranam annam tasmad yadyapi kaschit dasharatrihi na ashniyat, so anna upyoga nimittasya balasya hanya. Such a person will not get the strength which comes from food, and such a person may die because of lack of food. The body becomes weak, the mind becomes weak, and a person may die. But one may remain alive also, but will have a lot of weakness. So na chet mriyate, if he remains alive, he doesn't die, then yadhu ha jivet, if he remains alive, then drishyante hi, Shankaracharya ji writes, ki drishyante hi masam api anashnantah jivantah, that one sees that a person can remain alive even without food for a month. So it is not surprising that even after 10 days without food, a person may remain alive. But athava sa jivan api, but even if he is alive because of the weakness, such a person will not approach a teacher. Jivan api adrashta bhavati. He doesn't become the seer of the teacher. Because of the weakness of the body and mind, may not approach the teacher, will be absolutely weak and will not have the initiative to approach the teacher, will not have the initiative to listen to the teacher. That's what the mantra says. Ki athava adrashta, he doesn't see the teacher. Ashrota, doesn't have the capacity to listen to the teacher. Because even to listen, we need the Shakti, we need the strength. See, when we are weak, when we are unwell, then we, because of that weakness, we are not capable of listening or comprehending what is being taught. Therefore, the strength of the body and the mind is very important. And that is what we also chant in the Shanti Mantra, Apyayantu Mamangani, Va Pranachakshu Shrotramato, Balavindriyani Sarvani. That may all my limbs and all be very strong and well nourished. But if there is that weakness of the body and the mind due to lack of proper food, sattvic food, a balanced food taken in proper quantity. See, sattvic food also, if we eat too much, that is not that is not proper. So sattvic food, balanced food, eaten at the right time, with the right attitude, in right measure, cooked in a proper way. All this gives us that strength. When the food is offered to Bhagwan and then we eat it as prasad, then it gives a sattvic strength over mind also and our antakarana. But if we don't have proper food, or if we remain hungry because of that weakness of our body and the mind, we will not have that initiative to approach the teacher. We will not be seeing the teacher. So Guru api tata eva ashrota ityadi purva viparitam sarvam bhavati. So we won't see the teacher and we will not become the listener. Ashrota. Main thing when we approach a teacher, we have to listen. We have to ask questions. The teacher will dispel all our doubts. So we have to listen to the teacher. But due to weakness, we will not become the listener. And if we have not heard properly, then we will not become manta also. So amanta, we will not be able to contemplate. Because for contemplation, we have to listen. We have to have enough knowledge so that we can contemplate to understand. We should have all the stored Shravan which we have done should be within us. So our memory also should be very good. Not that whatever we have studied before, we just forget it. We should have the memory of all that we have learned from the teacher in the past also. So that when the teacher says something, using that knowledge of the past, the memory of the past, and listening to the teacher, we can, and whatever input we get from the teacher, we can contemplate and understand the teacher properly. But if that weakness is there of the body and the mind, then memory will not also function properly. Also, if we have a lot of impurities of our mind, like kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsar, then also the memory doesn't function properly. If we have too much of attachment, too much of raga, dvesha, then our memory doesn't function properly. If we don't do our sadhana, if we don't spend time reading, contemplating, recollecting what we have learned, reading our notes, discussing with other fellow students, discussing with our teacher, if all this is not done, then we will not be able to recollect what we have learned before. And without recollecting that, we will not be able to do comprehensive contemplation. Our contemplation uh, will be narrow, will not be comprehensive. And if we are unable to contemplate properly, then we will not gain that doubtless understanding, understanding free from all doubts. That is called becoming a Buddha. We gain the knowledge free from all doubts, because only when we contemplate, we can dispel those doubts. And once we gain that knowledge free from doubts, we become karta, we can put it into practice. Then we get motivated to practice, to actually experience what we have understood. So if there are doubts and all, then we are not inspired to practice and experience. But when there are no doubts and we have properly understood what the teacher is conveying, and we get so inspired by what we have understood that we want to actually experience it. We just don't want to keep it at the theoretical level. So we put forth effort to experience it. That is, that we become karta. And when we experience it, then we get experiential knowledge. That is, we become vijnata. We gain the vijnana, the experiential understanding of what the teacher has conveyed. Then there remains no doubt. Then nobody can shake us from our understanding, because it is accompanied by experience. If our understanding only remains at a theoretical level, then another strong person with some other strong logic may disturb our understanding. But if our understanding is accompanied with direct experience, then it cannot be shaken up by anything or anyone. So that is the vijnana. We become vijnata. We gain that understanding with experience. But on the other hand, here the teacher is saying that if we don't eat and we become weak, then we don't see the teacher, we don't listen to the teacher, we don't contemplate, we don't gain the understanding, we don't become the doer, and we don't become the vijnata. But on the other hand, bhavati atha anyasya ayai. If we get the food, and if we get proper nourishment, then our body becomes strong, our antakaran also becomes strong, and with that strength, we approach the teacher and we become the drashta of the teacher. Atha yadi bahun ha hani ahani anashita anashitah darshanadi kriyasu asamartah san annasyayi. When we have become weak, we have not taken food and all, we have become weak. But when we get the food, then when we eat and we gain the proper strength, then what happens? Then we approach the teacher, we see the teacher, we do the seva of the teacher, we come closer to the teacher, we through the seva we get tuned to the teacher, and then we become the Shrota. Shrota bhavati, drashta bhavati, Shrota bhavati. We become the listener. See, listening is one of the most difficult thing actually. Though many of us, we constantly listen to various pravachan, but to listen with full attention, to listen with full dedication, with full faith, with full awareness is something which is rare. At times, when we are listening, our mind is busy thinking about something else. Or when we listen, we don't accept certain things, we accept certain things. Or we have some doubts which we don't clarify, so we listen along with the doubts. So we don't get a proper, our Shravan doesn't become proper. But if the Shravan is proper, then we can also contemplate properly. So manta bhavati, we become contemplators, we do mananam. And when we do mananam, then we bodha bhavati, we become the knower. We know what the teacher has conveyed. Then karta bhavati, we put forth effort to practice what the teacher has conveyed. And after practicing, we gain the experience, and then we get the experiential understanding of what we have heard. So vijnata bhavati. Therefore, therefore the teacher says, hey Naradji, you meditate on Anna as Brahma, Annam Brahma. You meditate on Anna as Brahma. Therefore, in our culture, Anna is given so much of reverence. Food, even the dana of food is considered one of the greatest dan, Anna Dan. If we can feed the poor, if we can feed the hungry, it is one of the great dan. Also, we have proper attitude towards food. In Taittiriya Upanishad, the teacher has conveyed how we should treat food. Annam bahu kurvita, that you produce more and more food so that more and more people will be able to eat and go gain that satiation. Annam na nindyat, one should never criticize annam, because when we criticize food, we are criticizing Bhagwan only. So annam na nindyat. Annam na parichakshita, one should never waste anna. We should eat as much as is required for us. We should take as much as is required on our plate, and we should not waste food. See, people give parties, receptions, and marriage, and birthdays, and so many other things. So much of food is prepared, and those who are already eating too much, they come to eat more. So we take more than what is required on our plate, and lot of food we just waste it. It goes into the waste paper, what you call waste bins, garbage. So that is, and so many people in the world go hungry. They don't have enough food to eat. So one should not waste food. One should not criticize food. Food should be revered as Bhagwan himself. So when the food comes on our plate, we should do namaskar to that food, offer it to Ishvara, and then take it as his prasad and eat. So here we have to meditate on food itself as Brahma. Annam upasva iti. Now let us do some contemplation. Now you know how to contemplate. So let us contemplate. We have seen the previous chapter also. So bringing that memory of what we have learned in the previous chapter and what we are learning in this chapter, and also whatever we have learned in Bhagavad Gita and other Upanishads, all that we will bring to our memory while contemplating. See, it is, we have seen in the beginning, I have given this example, that this world which we see in front of us, we know it, and whatever we know it is indicated as Nam. So let us take this example. This object is there in my hand. It is part of this world. It has got a particular shape. It has got a particular color. And if we use our other senses, it has got a taste, it has got sound, it has got smell, and it has a name. So what is the name of this object? It is called apple. So this apple which is there in my hand, it is part of this world, and it is annam because I can eat it. So it is anna, it is food. Now, what is the material which has gone to make this apple? The material which has gone to make this apple are these 5 great elements only. The 5 elements: Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal, and Prithvi. But the Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal, Prithvi in their pure form has not made this apple. But that 5 elements, they undergo further modification through Trivrit Karanam. So after Trivrit Karanam 1, the bodies of the Devatas and the Loka was created by Vaishvanara. And then again with Trivrit Karanam 2, those who don't know what I'm talking about, you can refer to the pravachans of the previous chapter, the 6th chapter. So through Trivrit Karanam 2, the Vanaspatis, the, the plants and herbs were formed. They become our food. And when we eat this food, they are further split into three parts and all. So through the again the third Trivrit Karanam, our body and our antakarana and our senses are made. So our body, our mind, our intellect, our senses are the products of the third Trivrit Karanam, which are also the five elements which have undergone process of modification. So now it's very interesting that when we see this apple, we gain the knowledge of this apple. We gain the knowledge, the color, the form, the shape, and all, and the name. So, all this knowledge, not only of the shape, the form, but also the name, all this is just a name. We know it as a name. So, apple, the knowledge of apple we get, that is the name. We can convey this knowledge to others also by just mentioning the name or further describing the form and its qualities. So if I just tell you that, oh, I saw an apple, so you will know what I'm talking about roughly. I can further describe the apple, then you will get a better picture. So the object which is there outside here, I get the knowledge about it in my mind, in my antakarana. And that is what was conveyed here. So the name happens in my, I hear the name in my antakarana through my ears. It gets registered in my antakarana. I speak that name, that is also registered in my antakarana. I think about it, that is also antakarana. I take a sankalpa, that is also part of the antakarana. I meditate, dhyanam. Dhyanam is also part of antakarana. I gain experiential understanding, that is also antakarana, the vijnana. So the apple is there, the object is there, and we gain the knowledge about it, experiential knowledge also, which is called vijnana. So what is the teacher conveying here? By saying that the subtler than this vijnana is balam, and subtler than that bala is anna. So very interesting. The instrument with which I am gaining this knowledge, I am gaining this knowledge of this apple with the help of my senses and with the antakarana. But these senses, what is the material which goes to make the senses? The material which goes to make the senses is also the anna. And what is the material which goes to make the antakarana? That is also anna only. So that which is known and the knowledge which is happening in the antakarana is made from the same material. So the five elements which go to make this world And the knowledge which we gain of these five elements, which happens in the Antakarana, is also the product of these five elements. Means it functions, the mind, intellect functions through the five elements, which has gone to become my body, which has gone to become the senses. Again, if we go back to the creation process, that supreme Brahma is there, one without a second. That Brahma, along with his Shakti, is called Ishvara. That Shakti is the Maya or Prakriti, and Brahma is called Ishvara along with his Shakti. So this Prakriti of Ishvara is twofold, Para and Apara. Para is the prana, and Apara is the eightfold. Avyakta, Mahatattva, Ahankar, and Panchatanmatras. So through this Bhagwan's Prakriti of prana and the Avyakta, first manifestation happens of Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is born. So through the pranas, Bhagwan alone expresses as Hiranyagarbha, and through his Avyakta Prakriti he expresses as the Panchatanmatras, the Mana, Samashti Buddhi. That is the Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha does Panchikaranam of the Tanmatras, so they become the five gross elements, and Vaishvanara is born. Vaishvanara further modifies the five elements through Trivrit Karanam, and the Devatas, the Vanaspati, and finally the human beings are born. So, in our experiences which we have of this world, the knowledge which we gain of this world, so there are these three things are involved in it. It's called the Triputi. So there is that object which is known, then the knowledge, and the knower. So known, knowledge, and the knower. Neya, Jnana, and Jnata. For example, this apple, this is Neya, the object which is known. Then the knowledge which happens in our buddhi, that is the knowledge. So the buddhi is also made from the same material of this world. And the knowledge which is happening is just a vritti happening in that buddhi. So here the teacher so far has conveyed to us about the known and about the knowledge. About the knower he will tell later on. But what we have understood so far, the world is the known And the buddhi is where the knowledge happens. But the buddhi is also part of this world only. So the known as well as the knowledge is also part of this world. Knower is different from both. Knower we will see later on. So the apple which we know through our senses. So the eyes know the form, the color. But this color and form are the characteristics of fire element. And the organ of seeing is also made from fire element. So the fire element itself becomes the object which is known, and the fire element itself becomes the knowledge. Let us say space. The characteristics of space is sound. And the organ which help us to know sound are the ears. But the ear is also made from space only. So when we say I hear or we gain the knowledge of the sound, what happens? The sound, which is the characteristic of space, is heard by ear, which is also part of space only. So when hearing happens, what happens? The space itself hears itself. When seeing happens, fire itself sees the fire. Or taste. When we taste this apple, taste is the characteristic of water. So the water element, its characteristic is taste. And same water element has gone to become my organ of taste. So when I am eating this apple, I am getting the taste. The water itself is getting the taste of water. In the sense, water itself is involved in it. The taste is also water. The one who is getting it is also water. You understand? So the five elements which are there, they are experienced by our five senses, and the what you call that which is experienced by this, or that which is presented by these five senses is presented to the mind, that is further presented to our buddhi, and then the ahankar says, I have understood. But the ahankar, our ahankar, buddhi, mana, indriyas, the five elements, all of them are part of the world only. They are all world. In the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan gives two divisions in the beginning, two broad divisions. He says, this body which you are experiencing is called Kshetra And the one who is experiencing is Kshetrajna. Idam shariram kaunteya kshetramityabhidhiyate etad yo vettitam prahuhu kshetrajneti tadvidaha. And then he elaborates what is kshetra. Mahabhutanyahankarah buddhiravyaktamev cha indriyani dashekam cha panchatendriya gocharaha इच्छाद्वेष सुखम दुखम संघातश्चेतना धृतिः एतत् क्षेत्रम समासेन सविकारम उदारतम. Bhagavan says all this kshetra, the Mahabhutani, that is the Panchatan Matras, Mahabhutani, Ahankaraha, the Ahankar Tattva, Mahabhutani Ahankara, Buddhihi, Mahatattva, Buddhir Avyakta, the Vyakta, Indriyani Dashekamcha, the 10 Indriyas, then the Mana, then the 5 Indriya Gocharaha, the 5 elements. Then even the modifications of the mind, like Ichha, desire, Dvesha, dislike, Ichha, Dvesha, Sukham, happiness, Dukkham, unhappiness, all this which happen in our Antakarana. Ichha, Dvesha, Sukham, Dukkham, Sanghatas, Chetana, Chetana, that functioning of our Antakarana, that understanding which happens, that feeling which happens when we are awake. So Chetana, Dhritihi, that Dhairya, all these are Kshetra only, means known, different from the knower. So the knowledge which is happening in the buddhi is also known. The feelings which are happening in our antakarana is also known. The perception which is happening is also known. Generally we feel the world is there and I know it. So world is outside and the body, the mind, intellect is the knower. They are not the knower, they are also known. They are also part of this world. Therefore here, in a very subtle and a very interesting way, the teacher brought us from Nama. The world is there and we know about the world. Okay, what we know is Nam. Subtler than Nam is Vak. Subtler than Vak is Mana. Then subtler is Sankalpa, Chitta, Dhyana, Vijnana. And then suddenly he says greater than Vijnana is Bala. And then he says greater than Bala is Anna. Because Anna is the one which gives nourishment to our buddhi. It is the material which goes to make our buddhi. Is in a human body, the buddhi, our buddhi functions through our brain, our body. And the brain, body requires food for its nourishment. Otherwise, our buddhi and mana are very subtle. They are part of the samashti mana, samashti buddhi. And the samashti mana, samashti buddhi doesn't require a sharira to function. Hiranyagarbha doesn't have a body. Hiranyagarbha doesn't have a brain. But he can think. He has got buddhi. So buddhi, Hiranyagarbha's buddhi is abhautik. It doesn't require the physical body. But a human buddhi requires a physical body for it to function. And the physical body requires food for its nourishment. So what is known is the world, And the knowledge is also the world. And knower is different from both. Knower is someone very subtle. So teacher will slowly take us toward that subtle knower. Now he has come till anna, till food. Then he will go deeper than the food at a subtler and subtler level and present to us our own innermost self in a very fascinating way. So here the teacher, after conveying that Anna is superior to Bala, he tells Naradji that you meditate on Bala, on Anna as Brahma. Then he says, what is the phala of meditating on Anna as Brahma? So the second mantra will chant. So yo annam brahma iti upaste annavato vaisa lokan panvato abhisidhyati yavad annasya gatam tatra yatha kamacharo bhavati yo annam brahma iti upaste अस्ति भगवो अन्नात् भूयः इति अन्नात् भाव भूयः अस्ति इति तन्मे भगवान ब्रवीतु इति. He says, Sir, yo annam brahma iti upaste. One who meditates on anna as Brahma. Annavato vaisa lokan panavato abhisidhyati. He attains that loka which is full of food and water. He attains a loka which has got abundance of food and water, because water and food goes together. So he goes to a loka. If one meditates on anna, even in this life, we will not be deprived of food and water. Therefore, when we pray to food and eat, we will never go hungry because of lack of food or lack of water, or because of some illness. And after death, such a upasak attains a world which is abundant with food and water. Also, yavar annasya gatam tatra yatha kamacharo bhavati. Whatever is the domain of anna, this upasak gains free movement within that domain. One who meditates on anna as Brahma. Then the teacher asks, Naradji asks the teacher, Ki asti bhagavo annat bhoyaha iti. Is there something subtler than anna? The teacher says, yes. Annat bhava bhoyoho asti iti. There is something subtler than anna. Then Naradji requests the teacher, please teach me that. Tanme Bhagavan bravitu iti. Please teach me. Then the teacher will teach now in the next section that we will see in our class on Monday. So till then you take care, be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy, do your work, do your sadhana. Listen to the pravachan again. Contemplate, recollect all that you have heard before. Don't think that what we have studied before, now we don't have to remember. Everything is important. All that you have learnt in Bhagavad Gita is also important. All that you have learnt in Ishavasya Upanishad, Kathopanishad, Kenopanishad, Mundakopanishad is also important. All that you have learnt in Bhajagovindam, in Dakshinamurti Stotram is also important. All that we have done in the previous chapter is also important. All this we have studied. Okay, so you contemplate and we will meet again on Monday. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya 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 Ram. Shri Ram Jaya Ram 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 Jaya Jaya Ram. Jaya Jaya Ram. जय जय राम। बोलिए सियावर रामचंद्र भगवान की जय। ओम पूर्णमद पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।